The snow fell in silence over the ruins of Velmar city, each flake hissing into steam before it could touch the ground. The fires still raged 3 days after the elite guard had arrived, turning the sprawling metropolis into a funeral pyre that could be seen from orbit. At the center of the inferno, in a circle of scorched earth where no flame dared tread, lay Seline. The human woman's body was small, impossibly fragile compared to the massive forms that surrounded her. Her skin, once warm with life, had grown pale in the frigid mountain air. But she was not cold. The elite guard had seen to that. 12 apex predators, the most feared warriors in the known galaxy, stood vigil around her broken form, their armor reflecting the orange glow of burning buildings. They had draped their thermal cloaks over her, piled heating units around her body, and set an entire city ablaze just to keep the temperature above freezing. It wasn't enough. It would never be enough. Seline was gone. Rakar stood closest to her, his claws still wet with the blood of those who had done this. The eldest of the cubs, though at 7 cycles old he stood nearly 8 feet tall, trembled with a rage so profound it made the air itself seem to vibrate. His violet eyes, the mark of his bloodline, stared down at the human who had raised him since he was small enough to fit in her arms. She threw herself in front of the pulse cannon, Rakar said, his voice a low growl that carried despite the roar of flames around them. She knew what it would do. She knew, and she did it anyway. Commander Vexthor, leader of the elite guard, placed a massive clawed hand on Rakar's shoulder. The gesture would have crushed a human's bones, but Rakar barely felt it. "Tell us again," Vexthor rumbled. "Tell us everything." Rakar's story had already been told twice, but the guard needed to hear it. Needed to understand why they had just committed an act of war against one of the consortium's member cities. "We were in the market," Rakar began, his voice cracking. "Seline, myself, and my 3 siblings. She was teaching us about human culture, showing us their foods, their customs. She was always doing that, bridging our worlds." He paused, his throat working. Then the purists came. The purists. Extremists who believed that humans had no business raising predator species, that the natural order had been perverted by interspecies adoption. They had been growing bolder lately, their rhetoric more violent. "They surrounded us," Rakar continued, started shouting their poison. Seline put us behind her, all 4 of us, though we were twice her size. She spoke calmly, trying to de-escalate. His claws dug into his palms, drawing blood. Then one of them pulled out a military-grade pulse cannon, illegal on every civilized world. He aimed it at me. The elite guard stood motionless, listening. They had heard countless war stories, witnessed atrocities that would break lesser beings. But something about this, about a human woman standing between predator cubs and certain death, made even these hardened warriors feel something primordial, stir in their chests. She moved faster than I've ever seen her move, Rakar whispered. "Humans aren't supposed to be fast. They're endurance hunters," she always told us. But in that moment, he looked down at Seline's face, peaceful now in death. She was a blur. She pushed me aside and took the full blast herself. The pulse cannon's energy had essentially liquefied her internal organs. By all rights, she should have died instantly. But humans, the galaxy had learned, were stubbornly difficult to kill when someone they loved was in danger. "She stayed conscious for 6 minutes, Rakar said. 6 minutes with her body destroyed, and she used that time to make sure we were safe. She held my hand, told me she loved me, told me to take care of my siblings." Tears, an unusual thing for his species, rolled down his face. Then she called the guard. With her dying breath, she activated her emergency beacon and called you. Vexthor looked around at the burning city. They had arrived within the hour, their warship dropping from orbit like a falling star. What they found was a crime scene. A dead human and 4 traumatized cubs, surrounded by a crowd of purists who were already trying to spin the narrative, claiming self-defense. The elite guard had asked only one question: who fired the weapon? When the answer came, they had acted with the cold efficiency that had made them legends. The shooter was dead within seconds. His accomplices followed. Then, as the crowd began to disperse, Vexthor had made a decision that would echo through galactic history. "Burn it," he had commanded. "Burn everything." His soldiers had questioned nothing. The elite guard served the Covenant, the ancient agreement that bound the predator species together, and the Covenant had one unbreakable rule: those who protect the young are sacred, those who harm them are ash. Seline had been protecting the young, the purists had harmed her. The math was simple: So they had unleashed thermal weapons, plasma charges, and incendiary rounds. They had systematically set fire to every building in Velmar City, starting from the market square and working outward. Civilians had fled in terror as the elite guard carved a circle of destruction, mile after mile, until the entire city was engulfed. And at the center of it all, they kept Seline warm. "The consortium will demand answers," one of the guards said quietly. "Let them demand," Vexthor replied. "We will tell them the truth. A human died protecting our cubs. We responded appropriately." "Appropriately?" another warrior questioned. "Commander, we destroyed a city." "We sent a message," Vexthor corrected. "Humans are weak by our standards, fragile. They have no claws, no natural armor, no venom. They are prey animals who somehow climb to the top of their food chain through sheer stubbornness." He looked down at Seline. "But they are our prey animals now. They have bonded with us, raised our young, stood beside us in battle, and when one of them falls protecting our cubs..." He didn't finish. He didn't need to. Every member of the guard understood. Rakar knelt beside Seline, his massive form dwarfing hers even in death. Gently, with claws that could rend steel, he adjusted the thermal cloaks around her. "She was always cold," he said softly. "Human bodies don't handle temperature well. She was always wrapping herself in blankets, standing near heaters." He looked up at the burning city. "Now she'll never be cold again." The elite guard stood vigil through the night. The fires burned for 3 more days. By the time they were extinguished, Velmar City was nothing but ash and memory. The consortium did demand answers. Vexthor gave them willingly, broadcasting his response across every civilized world. "Harm a human who protects our young, and we will paint the stars with your cities." This is not a threat. This is a promise. This is the covenant. No one ever targeted a human caretaker again. And in the records of the elite guard, on a monument of obsidian stone, they carved 3 words in 100 languages. "Seline kept us warm."